Alright boys, so in this video we have something a little out of the ordinary. We're going to be changing some parts on this 2014 Hyundai Sonata 2.0T, which I'm assuming means it's a inline 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo. Not the type of car I normally work on, but here it is. So I don't generally do Korean cars or turbocharged cars. But this should be a relatively easy repair, but because it is turbo, there's going to be a bunch of bullshit in the way. Now you may be noticing something. Why do you have a big, huge, freaking 2x4 propping the hood up on a car that's 5 years old? Well, because this Korean 5-year-old car has bad hood struts, and if you don't do that, it falls on you. So that's already one reason why I don't recommend buying Korean cars, because they're clearly made of 100% garbage. So the part that we're going to be replacing is the thermostat housing, the thermostat itself, and the thermostat housing cover. Now, if we didn't have the stupid turbo on here, we wouldn't have all this piping and bullshit in our way. We would be able to relatively easily get to this by disassembling this piping here for the airbox, and then we'd be on our way. But as you can see, we have a coolant hose running from the radiator going here to our housing cover, which is bolted to our housing, which has a bunch of bullshit attached to it. So all this crap has to come out of the way. And to show you what our part will look like, we got a couple of them. Here's the thermostat housing cover. Okay. And then what fits inside that is the thermostat. What goes around the thermostat is an O-ring. And then I believe in here is our ugly big part, thermostat housing itself. Alright, so we can see here's the other side where our thermostat's going to go, that the cover's going to bolt up to, right here. So we have a bunch of extra screws that are going to, I'm assuming, bolting this thing to the cylinder head. So it already comes with little O-rings on this side. The side's going to go to the cylinder head. So, you know what? I give BMW a lot of shit for using plastic parts. But this is out of control. I don't see why anybody thought it was a good idea to make a plastic piece that you bolt onto the cylinder head and then affix a thermostat in it with another plastic piece over. Even BMW doesn't do that. Alright, if you look at the E46, for example, it's literally just like the thermostat housing, that plastic piece, it just bolts, it's like one piece. This is like two pieces. I don't know, it's excessive to me, and it's freaking stupid, and it's retarded. I don't know if that has something to do with just the fact it's a turbo, or if they're all like this, or for all I know, all the 2.0 Sonatas, 2.0 anything, they're all turbos. I don't know. I don't know these cars, but I do know we're going to have to go in. It's going to be a pain in the ass. The engine feels kind of cool, so we'll go ahead and open her up, see how much coolant we have, drain out what we don't need, and then get to work on it. Okay, boys, so far we pulled the two 10mm bolts off that was holding that air duct on. Boom, that guy. Got the engine cover off, too. That thing just pulls off. So just give her a good heave-ho to get the cover off. Acoustic cover. 2 10s. That'll come right off. I got the airbox off. There was also 2 10s. These dudes that held in place just on the other side of the battery. Here and here. And then you unclamp this guy. And then that comes out. So now we have a better view of what we're dealing with. Still a bunch of extra bullshit in the way. So here is that piece we were looking at earlier. Yeah. Thermostat's in there. And then this big dude on the other side of it's that huge assembly of stuff, plastic. So I think what we want to do now is we want to figure out exactly where this leak is coming from and what it exactly is leaking. Because wouldn't it just be awesome if this thing happens to be the cracked part? I'm guessing it's not. My life isn't that awesome. I'm going to get my pressure tester. We're going to hook it up to that, which is full of coolant, by the way. And then we're going to pressurize the system, and we're going to see where some leaks are coming from. It's probably going to be the big, huge part. I mean, I can already kind of see what looks like seepage there, but we'll get a better view of it. So I'll grab the tripod and grab my kit, my pressure tester, and then we'll get to work and see what's doing. Okay, hopefully you're at a weird angle and we don't tip over here. Alright, so I used my pressure tester number 16 adapter for this Hyundai, and we are going to pump it up and see if we can see a leak somewhere. I didn't bring my flashlight, but damn, this thing pumps up quick. But we're already losing pressure. Yeah, we're losing pressure, so we should have a leak somewhere. Let's take you in close, see if we can find it. Yep, there it is. So it looks like it's I don't know until I get a wee bit closer, I guess, but it looks like it's this thingy right here, which is that even part of my piece? Let me see. Okay, so here's how this is obviously going to sit in here, right? Because there's that piece. So this thing is going to sit in like this. That big hose is that big thing. She's got some weird connector. I don't know. This part almost, man, this better be the right part. Making me nervous that it might not be. It's making me a little nervous because it looks ever so slightly different, but maybe it's not. But interestingly enough, I mean, on this end, it looks like we got some big vacuum hoses, or actually it looks like hoses going from the heater core to that thing. You know what? I almost wonder if it isn't the different part. I almost wonder. But I can smell it. I mean, it could just be leaking. Could just be flowing that direction. And they diagnosed it as this part. I'm guessing the dealer or whoever she took it to. I can't really get a good view at it, so. Alright, we'll start unplugging stuff and see if we can get a better look at it. Okay, boys, so here's where we are. I can already tell you it's going to be longer than a 2-hour job because we've been at it for almost an hour. We haven't even taken our freaking part off yet. So, opened up the clamp, pulled this weird braided hose thing off. That was a bitch. And then what I wanted to do was disconnect this electrical sensor from that and then pull this vacuum hose off and just leave this attached to this pipe here. However, this is a bitch to get off. So maybe now that I could more freely grip that and twist that, it would be, but at that point, what's the point? So what I ended up doing is this was attached like this, opened up the clamp on each side of this braided hose, disconnected this thing from the pipe here. After doing the electrical connector, there's a 10mm bolt that secures this to that. So this is now out of our way. That's back where it goes so I don't lose it. And we got this off from our little dealio over there. Intake boot, and I loosened the clamp that was around that braided hose to this pipe as well. So now I can, and this is a 12mm, so I got this loose, so now we're just going to pull that off, twist and pull this whole pipe off, and this will give me better access to all this crap, and I can see what's going on in here more clearly, hopefully. Okay, so I got the pipe out of the way. I went ahead and pulled the battery out too, just to give myself some more working room, plus I found out this wasn't even clamping over the battery. So the battery was sitting in there all loosey-goosey anyway. So whatever, we can at least fix that. Okay, so a couple things. Now, either this is the wrong part or it's been redesigned or something. Because if you look at this, okay, you see you got that little hose right next to where the thermostat sits. Okay, that checks, right? Little hose there, little hose there. Okay, that looks to be perfectly fine. But what gets me is this big hose clamps onto this plastic piece, which like bolts onto that thing, which is attached to that thermostat housing. This doesn't have anything like that, so maybe it's a redesign. Maybe this plastic piece, either it's the wrong part or this piece just comes off now, pulls this plastic thing out, and that bolts directly to that, or clamps onto it. I don't know. I'd be pissed if I have to take this thing this far apart just to find out that this piece is for a different car. Maybe it's redesigned, I don't know. I don't have any information on that. I don't know that much about these cars. But it is making me a little suspicious and a little uneasy. But whatever. Okay, moving along. So now we gotta start unplugging crap and get this freaking wiring harness out of my damn way. And it looks like, I'm thinking it's just kind of held in place by this little metal deal right here sticking there. I should be able to just wiggle that free, and that'll give me access. I can hopefully get this thing out of the way and then start pulling bolts out to pull this thing off the thing that holds the head. And unclamping all this and then seeing what the hell's going on in here. So let's start unplugging stuff and wiggling things. Okay, boys, looks like we do have a problem, and my suspicions were originally correct. So this is a completely different part. Again, I don't know if it's redesigned or not, or what the deal is, but I don't think it's going to work, period. Now, this, I could just unclamp and probably clamp onto that. That would probably work. The problem with the back is going to be the same thing. So, here we have these two pipes. So one would assume you'd have one line going in, and then one line going out, assuming one side's in, one side's out. So, when you get back here to this one, we do have the same setup where there's this hose that's clamped onto some thing that is bolted onto this thing, which is part of this thermostat housing. Okay, great. All right. But the problem is, if you look over here, you'll notice, I apologize, I didn't take everything off in order to make this super visible, but we have, can I get my damn fingers in here? Yeah, so this one's on this end. There's another pipe right here, this one. So it's kind of a T here. There's this pipe, and then the plastical piece. So it kind of forms a little bit of a T, if you will. That's the top, that'd be the bottom. Okay, so we have our first problem. I could get one hose attached, but what the hell does the other hose go to? I don't know, but it's probably not supposed to be exposed to the environment. So that leads us to the, oh, and it's leaking now because I did pressurize the system to see where the leak is. And the leak is, in fact, on this area. It actually looks like two leaks. It looks like one here, and then one a little further back. But if you look at where the bottom hose would be, if I can even get under here. Okay, yeah, see that right there? Where that clamp is? That hose is going up to more of an L fitting. So that's a part of it. See it? That plastic piece. And then look at the other one. Kind of an L. If I can even get my damn finger in here. See? That's, depending on which way you want to orient it. If it was an upside down L, right, or backwards one, there's your top, and then there's the bottom. So that thing is attached to some weird fitting deal that goes into this, the lower part. That part right there. So this part, though very similar, is not the same. And there's no way I can make it work because of this weird T-fitting crap. There's no way. I don't know. You may be saying, well, can't you just unbolt that and bolt? No, I can't, because this one doesn't have a spot for such a thing. I don't, there's no way to do it. I don't think it can be done. The only way this could possibly even work is if this part actually isn't molded to this. And even then, this is going to be a bigger bitch than I fucking thought it was going to be. because this thing's fucking got all the damn wiring harness running to it, and it's in my damn way. So, I don't know. Let's see what we can see. I'll unbolt it on this side since it's easier to access, and we'll see if... But I can already tell you, I mean, there's no way. I doubt very seriously this sleeve is a piece that fits over this, so I don't know, it's maybe a boom done. I'm gonna have to button this thing up and say, no, I can see what's wrong with it, but can't be fixed. This is the wrong part. Similar, but not the same, so I'll let you know. Okay, so we did manage to get this thing out of the car, and we have the actual replacement part that looks identical to this. So I didn't film that. It was a royal pain in the ass. It took me about 2 hours to get it out, and I reckon it's going to take just as long to put it back in. So here's what you need to know. This clamps on, this clamps on, this clamps on, this clamps on. Get some... preferably those 11-inch deals from Harbor Freight, because I had to make a Harbor Freight run. So this is actually like 3 hours total. 1 hour was driving to Harbor Freight, buying the tools I need, because all these in the back, the intake and all that piping for the turbocharger and wiring harnesses, all the crap's in the way. So you have to go buy these long 11-inch pliers, one that are straight, one that have a 45-degree, and the one have a 90-degree bend, so you can unclamp the hose, move the clamp out of the way, and then yank these things off by wiggling them, sticking your screwdriver or your pick in there to break the seal from the heat welding, and or get that other tool. There's a hose clamp grippy tool. I bought those too. Didn't use them. But a couple things to note. The wiring harness bracket's going to be held on here. Those are two 10s. This thing is held on by three 12s. 12, 12, and a 12 nut. There's three 10mm bolts that hold the thermostat housing cover over our thermostat. And note which way your thermostat's in here. This thing's kind of at the 11 o'clock position, and this dealio is at the 12 o'clock position. Of course, our spring is on this side. Now, this has one of those little metal tension clip deals that hold it in place. Pull that out and note the position that this thing is in, where the two notches where you'll lift up and pull the electrical connector off. The other sides are not like that. So you're going to have a point, and a point. Make sure that the other point's pointing towards the engine. Clip goes that way, so you don't put it on backwards or have to flip it around. Now, we have some O-rings and everything in this new part. I don't know if we have an O-ring for this coolant. I'm guessing this is the coolant temperature sensor. It's either a coolant temperature sensor or it's a, the only other thing it could be would be like a heater for the thermostat. But it does have an O-ring on it. So if we don't, I'm guessing we're just going to have to reuse this and hope we don't have any leaks. So I'll just clean it off as best as I can, put some dielectric grease around the O-ring and pop it in. So, and then the other one you're going to have to unbolt. There's another 10mm on this bottom side for another pipe that looks kind of sort of similar to that attaches there. And that pipe does have an O-ring that's going to seat in here. So we'll have to see if we have the O-ring for that in here also in this box of parts. Alright, so as we look at our new part here, it's exactly the same. Bolt for there, the 10mm, two 10s for the stupid wiring harness bracket, boom, 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 for the three 12s, that one being a nut, those two being very long bolts. I brought one of the bolts in, this one, this was the one that was in the back here. And here's the 12mm nut. That's the one that went down there. Okay. There's a thermostat. Part. So it's from the dealer. No reason to not install that now. So we'll go ahead and do that. And I'll do that off camera, I reckon. I'll grab the other O-rings and we'll see what all we got O-ring wise. Okay, so here's our part numbers here. Looks like we got a gasket inlet fitting. It's probably going to be that one on that lower hose outside, I think. Gasket thermostat housing. Unless this is for the thermostat itself, because this says gasket housing. Okay, so that's a little one that's on the back side of here. So the bigger one that's on the back side of there. And then there's this little one. Okay, so this little one's the one that goes on that pipe on the inside. Okay. Boom. So this goes around the thermostat itself. So we'll get that on. Okay, so if you look in here, you'll see there's a notch. So you can't actually mess this up. So that thermostat goes right in that notch there. You take your gasket goes over it, goes in place, and then that will seal it up against the housing cover. So that part's done. Let's put the other O-rings on the other side. Alright, so the next one's this little guy. That part number goes right there in that little oval-y spot. And they were also nice enough to include a little notch. So again, you can't mess this up. Actually, it's not a perfect oval. It is kind of weird shaped, so you do want to make sure that goes in right. And Ed has come to join us. Alright, so now we have a fresh new O-ring there, / gasket, as it's going to seat up against the block. Cylinder head, actually, rather, so we're good on that. Next is this part number. And I can see we've done the same thing. There's a notch right there. So I reckon that means this thing is not perfectly symmetrical. So it will go this way. There we go. All right, that's seated. Seated properly, so it should go right up against the cylinder head. Now, next one is just this thing. I don't know if that's the part number or what this is, but that goes on the one outside. The bottom one, it goes in here, so I'm just going to go take the O-ring off that and put this on right now. I'm going to do that off camera. Okay, got the little O-ring back in the that bottom pipe that attaches to here on the car. So normally I would just film what I'm doing, or at least explain what I'm doing, but there's literally no room in there. I can't do it. You know, I would like to show you guys exactly what's going on, since there's no other videos on it on the internet, but the best I can do is just explain, because there's literally no room to get in there and film. So this goes back in the car. From the front of the car, it's going to sit like this. Thermostat's here. This is all that heater hose piping that's towards the back of the, or closer to the firewall, right? And then this is all the stuff towards the radiator side. So this little thing is difficult to see. In fact, I kept yanking. I'm like, why is this thing not coming out? No, there's a freaking hose down here attached to it that I couldn't see. So order of operations on installation is, I'm going to do the thermostat last. So that's not back in here at the moment. It's chilling. This is going to go in, and then the order of operations is there's going to be some wires and crap in the way. Just keep them out of the way. And they affix here. And then here's where that bracket goes for the harness and everything. Don't worry about that. So first things first, you get this one on first. It's going to be this hose that's down there that's a royal pain in the ass to get to. I couldn't even see what I was doing. I had to do everything by feel because there's just no room to see, so there's no room to film. So put this one on first, get the clamp where it goes. That needs to be done first. Second thing you need to do then, after that, is get the bottom one in. Then affix this thing where it needs to go so it's perfectly still at that point.
Your 312s. After that, you should be able to fairly easily, if you have the right tools and you're not fat and you can fit where you need to go, you can put the hose on, lower hose, then this one, then this one. You can attach your electrical connectors, put the big radiator hose, will be the second to last thing. We'll do the thermostat first. Do that, then that, but you'll make sure you don't forget this dude, that guy, if I can get you on the light, and then that guy. So do all that, reattach all the electrical connectors and everything, secure that on, and then you'll be good to go. And then after I do all that, then I'll show you, okay, it's all set up, it's on there, and then we'll just start putting all the piping, everything back on, and then should be good to go after that. Shouldn't have any more problems. We won't ever have to look at this car again, hopefully. Because I'm telling you, the dealer wanted to charge her like 500 some odd bucks to do this. I can see why. It is a pain in the ass. This took me way longer than it should have. This should be a 30-minute job of thermostat housing. But these guys designed it in such a way, especially with that turbo and everything in the way, that it just takes this long. So my recommendation for you guys is going to be, eat that 500. Just have the dealer do it. Don't even, unless you're a masochist, put this on yourself. Don't even do it. Don't do it, because it's a pain in the ass. So, all right, I'm going to go outside and start getting this thing back together. Hopefully I can get this damn thing done in time before it gets dark.
Okay, I guess before I do get started, though, I will show you everything that... See what I'm talking about? You got that hose, those two little ones. Move the big one out of the way. That's the little guy with the O-ring that bolts onto the bottom. This is where this thing secures to the cylinder head, and getting ready to go Brillo pad all that old gasket material off of there so we don't fucking leak again. That would be bad, okay? And see, you can't even see. You can kind of sort of see some of them there. Those are two of them that were on the heater hose on the back. I don't even know where the bottom one went. There it is. See it? It almost looks like it's attached to something, but it's not. That little dude. Yeah, that guy right there. That one's a pain in the ass. You know, it also doesn't help, though, that her hood strut are shot, so I get this big wooden plank in the way. That also really hinders me. But you can get to all that crap by leaving the intake boot and everything on. This part of it anyway. It would be significantly easier if you didn't. But, you know, here's those tools I was talking about. That guy to grip the hoses and pull them off. And then this long dude. This one at the 45 degree. I don't even know where my 90... There they are. Those right there. So what you have to do to loosen all these clamps and pull them off. Because for some reason they couldn't just use BMW's system where it's a quick disconnect. If you're going to use plastic fittings, why not just have those little clips, right, that you pop up, like this thing had on it, only the BMW design, which is better. Lift that up and then just push it on. Wouldn't that have been easier? You would think. It would also be easier if the turbocharger and all this crap wasn't in the way. So don't ever get a freaking turbocharged car. But alright, let's get this damn... It's getting cold. It's getting dark. I'm angry. We need to get this done and over with before I freeze. Okay, it is many hours later. I started on this at 10 in the morning. It's now 3. It's 5 freaking hours. And we're still not done yet. It's going to take at least another hour, and I think we'll be done. So we got that new piece kind of mocked in there. We haven't torqued anything down yet. I did put all this piping and back on and clamp them, so we should be good there. Still have to do a bunch of electrical connectors, but we're not worried about that. First we need to make sure all the cooling things get back on. So you got the super long 12 mil. That's the one that goes here. The not as long one goes here, and then the nut 12 mil. You can even see it right under there. Okay, but first things first, like I said I did, I went and kind of mocked this up in place. Well, I didn't mock it in place first. I just kind of got it in there, boom, put that up on there, and got it into position, and then Moved my clamp up and clamped her down. So that one's good. Then is this one, and it's a fucking pain in the ass. I spent an hour of my time was just getting this itty-bitty little 10 millimeter, it's a small guy, to line up, because this pipe that comes off here is metal. It's steel. It goes all the way back behind the block and into either the block or the head, somewhere in there. And it's just like this, where it's nothing but an O-ring that holds it in place. But trying to get, there's a little steel bracket that kind of comes off here that kind of, so it holds this side in place. The part that goes into the cylinder head slash block on the back of the engine, you can see it from underneath. If you peek under and look up, it's also just an O-ring, so it kind of pushes in place there, and pushes in place here. But lining this up is going to be a bitch. If you can get it on your first try, like if you can pop that in there and that lines up perfectly, boom, you are set. But if you have problems like me, it's going to take a freaking hour of finagling this and that, and then trying to start it in a spot you can't reach or see, because there ain't a lot of freaking room in here. And you can kind of sort of see the head. Right there, that bolt. Right there. Yeah, there ain't a lot of working room. That one. Not this thing. That thing. Pain in the ass. Okay. So now we're going to get our long 12 mil, which goes right there. Wiring harness is, of course, in the way, so we'll put that in there. Do the other two, and then we'll start securing the rest of the hoses on, and then we'll put our thermostat in, bolt that up, the electrical connectors in, put all the piping and hosing back on, pressure test the system, fill it with coolant, start it, and then we're done. DUN. Alright, so I'm in rage mode, man. I just got done yelling and screaming at the top of my lungs. You know, if someone would have told me the biggest pain in the ass in this was going to be getting bolts started, I would have called him a goddamn liar. So it took an hour to do that one down there. It took about 30 minutes to do this one right here. And I still can't even get this one in. This one right back here behind this fucking wiring harness. I've been struggling with it for easily 30 minutes, probably damn near an hour. So that fucker right there, I can't get it started. Can't get the fucking bolt in. And I can't get a fucking camera in here to see what the problem is, because there's no fucking room. There's no room to put a camera. There's no room to get my eyes. There's no room to get a fucking tool. I can't even get back in there to show you, or to even see for myself why this isn't lining up right and what I need to do to get it in there. Because everything's in the way on this. The dealer charged her $500 or was going to. This is easily an $800 to $1,000 job. No bullshit. See, I can't even see in there. But it ain't fitting. Can't get it started. Everything's in the way. So I guess I'll go back to struggling for another hour. Let you guys know when we finally make some progress. Oh, shit, son. Okay, it's almost 5 o'clock at night. Finally got everything back together. We got the PSIs up here at 13. It's going down a little, but I don't see any leaks. Well, I guess you can't see any leaks either because my damn finger's in the front of the lens, so... When I put it back together originally, we had a little bit of leakage coming from here, so this clamp is bad. So I had to move it up slightly to get a better squish on it. So that will be problematic in the future, probably. But that was it. No leak here, no leak there, no leak anywhere else. I checked the transmission, and though it has coolant all over it, I don't see any flowing onto it from anywhere, so that's good. Thermostat housing looks fine. See fittings I never took off, so they're probably fine. Right here on this side of the transmission, it's wet from coolant, but I don't see any drips. There was that problematic hose over there, that fitting over there. Everything looks fine. The pressure still sitting at about 12.5. So it goes down ever so slightly, but I don't think that's a concern. We're not really losing any. It's not like it's gushing out before, so I think we're good. So I can put the stupid thing back together, and maybe I'll make it to the movies tonight. We'll see. But that's it. I'm not gonna go through the whole procedure of putting that back together. I'm tired. I want to get done. I've been working at this since 10 this morning, so that's 7 hours I've been working on this piece of crap. So it's getting back together, and then we're done with this thing. So this is how you change a stupid thermostat housing on your 2014 Hyundai Sonata 2.0 Turbo, and this is why you don't buy this car. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.